right, guys, this is Crazy Kev here, and I'm here with UFC fighter Miranda, Maverick. Miranda, how we doing?
Doing good. Just got done with one of my training session, cleaned up, and here I am.
Let's go, let's go. And Miranda, last time we were talking, you had a fight with Tracy Cortez. Now you're all switched up. Now you're with Dione Barbosa. Talk to us a little bit more about that matchup.
Man, don't really know much about it. She's a girl who's fought once in the UFC, obviously a judo Olympian. She has a good background throughout the MMA career with LFA, Contender Series, and now the UFC. Hoping to kind of set her as an example, show people why I belong in the 15th and why I should have a ranked opponent. So a little bit irritating that I have her as an opponent rather than a ranked opponent, but at the end of the day, I get paid the same no matter what, and I'll just keep moving up the ladder eventually.
Yeah, yeah. Now, on top of that, what kind of happened with that matchup? Like, how come you're not facing Tracy anymore?
Man, I mean, Macy Barber dropped out of the fight with Rose, which was a main event fight for Fight Night here in Denver, which is another frustrating thing. It's like I live in Denver, obviously. I'd love to fight here. And then they pulled Tracy up to fight Rose. There was a little bit of back and forth. I guess Tracy didn't really want that fight initially, even though they called. I was like the first person to know about it because they called me to tell me my fight was off. And I was like, what the heck? Before Rose even knew about it, before Tracy knew about it, etc. Then there was some back and forth. I actually got mentioned to possibly be fighting Rose, even though we trained with each other this whole fight camp because they were just looking for options. So I was thinking maybe that would happen there for a while. But at the end of the day, it ended up being Barbosa. Got the contract signed yesterday, and it's set.
Let's go. Now that's definitely some good news. And now with you mentioning that you got offered Rose, I mean, with you training against her, would that be somebody you even would have wanted to face, or would you have maybe tried to turn that one down if possible?
It wasn't necessarily offered. It was like, hey, we might have to fight you. Like the teams were talking about it, and we were discussing how it could happen just because they were looking for anyone, someone. But yes, we basically both discussed it, her team, my team, and we were like, let's do it. We're friends at the end of the day. We're friends walking in, but you can fight each other no matter what. I'm of the mindset where this is a sport. It's not based around hate and stuff as long as you don't make it like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And with you not knowing too much about Barbosa, do you plan to watch on any film on her? I mean, talk to us a little bit more how you plan to expose some of the holes in her game.
Yeah, we've watched her film already and stuff. I haven't been experienced enough in her fighting. Like I haven't watched her grow into the sport or anything. I'm honestly not worried about too much. Obviously, she has that judo background. She's a decent wrestler. She's a decent striker. She fights a lot of girls that make her look good, but those girls aren't very good themselves. And that's kind of my view on it. I really think this is going to be a walk in the park kind of, but I'm taking this as seriously as possible as if I was facing Tracy still. 15 opponent, and I've trained hard. As people see, I look better, feel better than I ever have. I think I'm finally hitting my prime. Tomorrow I'll be turning 27, so I'm getting up there in my skill set. I'm getting up there in my prime and ready to show the world. I mean, my last fight I already showed a lot of improvement, and we've not been stopping there. It's not like I just sat back and was like, okay, I'm good enough now. Like we've been improving every single day.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And with you facing Barbosa, if you do end up getting that win, do you plan to maybe try to call out Tracy again, or try to maybe move on from that matchup?
And I don't know. Any top 15 is fine. I might call out Macy again. Like, I want to just keep moving up the ladder. I don't care who it is. Tracy's bound to drop out of fights anyway. I'm surprised she wasn't the one to drop out. She's known for that. So we'll see who I call out. I doubt it will be Tracy. I didn't want that matchup to begin with because of the likelihood she wasn't going to show up. I'm glad that she is showing up. She's finally having this fight. This is the first time that she will have fought twice in a year, and I think since 2018 or something like that. So good for her. I hope she keeps at it. But I don't know if she'll be the name in front of me again. If it is, great. I'll fight her. If it's not, great. I'll fight whoever's standing in front of me to move up.
I like it. I like it. And with you mentioning it's your birthday tomorrow, happy early birthday. And what do you maybe plan to do for it?
Train.
Train.
Big party or anything when we're in fight camp. I don't really celebrate that much anyway. Probably would have went on a hike or something. We might still do that. But yeah, nothing.
Just another day. I like it. I like it. And with you mentioning a little bit about like training and stuff, you mentioned you were having a little bit of a longer fight camp and stuff against Tracy. Now with you having Dione Barbosa, I mean, how long do you think your fight camp is going to be, and when's kind of going to be the peak of your fight camp?
I mean, I already had my peak of the fight camp probably 2 weeks ago. We're still pushing really hard right now, and we'll start easing up starting later next week, I would say. So it doesn't change. I see it as the exact same fight camp just because changed. Nothing about camp changes beyond maybe a private lesson or two.
Nice, nice. I like it. And on top of that, you mentioned you were practicing a little bit of wall wrestling and stuff, like all that different stuff. What kind of drills are you maybe doing to maybe get prepared for Dione and just in general?
No, same thing. Like I'm always trying to just get better in general. I don't really care about the person standing in front of me unless they have some crazy specific thing they're great at. She doesn't. Like obviously we're gonna watch out for the judo, but she doesn't really show that much in her fight. She doesn't apply it very well. Her wrestling isn't that exceptional or anything. But my wall wrestling I keep up with. I've been consistently doing wrestling and focusing on that this whole camp, and I'll continue to do so just because I want to tighten any holes that are in my game and make sure that I keep being good at what I'm already good at, which is the grappling and the striking portion.
Very nice, very nice. And you mentioning with you facing Dione, I mean, yeah, she's not ranked, and it's a little bit of a step down compared to Tracy. I mean, is the pressure a little bit different, knowing that like you're probably going to be a big favorite and anything? I mean, talk us a little bit more about the nerves going into this fight.
Not at all. I'd say there's less nerves as a whole, but I don't like it that I'm not facing a ranked opponent. Now I have to work probably two more fights to get back where I was. Like I'm ranked. I can't keep moving up the ladder if I don't have anyone to push me up the ladder. So that part's really unfortunate. I'm hoping I can keep sealing my spot at 14, 15. Time always makes that go away. After Andrea, I was 14 and then other fights happen. And then it just always changes every other weekend, it seems. But I want to fight her, hopefully get back into the 15 ranking, once again, get a ranked opponent. I feel like I've stagnantly been at 15 since the beginning of my UFC career so much, pretty much. So I'm trying to keep moving on and moving up and using Barbosa as a stepping stone.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. That makes sense. And you mentioned before that you don't plan to be in MMA forever. I mean, did you maybe have like an age or maybe like a goal on when you maybe want to step out of MMA one day?
Maybe, but that right now is private amongst my family and me. I'm not really going to be exposing that yet, but I will say that fairly soon I'd like to start a family and be out and start other business ventures. This is just a chapter in life, as it should be for all fighters. We can't fight forever, and I'm only 27, but eventually that day will come, and I'm prepared for it regardless. I feel like at one point you fall out of love with the sport from doing it forever, from having injuries that build up, and I'm not there yet, but I'm sure we'll get there soon enough. But I'm not considering retiring anytime soon.
Yeah, yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And obviously, when you were growing up, your father was flipping like farmland, and you're obviously a workaholic too with all your different businesses, like the pickle business and all that 9 yards. I mean, with all the money you have coming in, what do you maybe plan to do with it in the future, as well too?
I don't really have anything that I'm putting towards that I don't already. So, in those terms, I've already purchased property. I'm working on paying them off. It's all based in Missouri. I'll be wanting to move back to Missouri with my family eventually. Might continue to fight even after I move back to Missouri, and just have camps here in Denver instead. I just want to be close to my family, and that's the ultimate goal for me, is not to have to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life and to be close to my family. I'll still be working for Hershey for a while because it's remote, it's flexible for me. And yeah, I have my pickle business going. I have honey that I just started to be part of the pickle business. I guess you'd say like two separate businesses within that. And just keep on finding new ways that I can kind of innovate, make money, and pursue dreams pretty much. Get my family involved with them as well. It's something that everybody in my family can participate in and hopefully help with.
Yeah, yeah, and definitely. And on top of that, yesterday you made a post with some of your clothes as well too that you're looking to maybe try to sell them to maybe put them towards like a boy with cancer. Can you talk us a little bit more about that too?
Yeah, I wish I could pull it up at the same time without getting off screen. So it's not exactly cancer. His dad actually reached back out to me and was like, wanted to explain a little bit more. So I'll go ahead and talk about that a little bit. If anybody ever funds to them, I actually have it listed on X what the dad's Venmo is if you guys want to give anything to them. So he has microsmal microduplication, hormonal immunity deficiency, growth hormone deficiency, and then he also has the genes for pancreatic cancer and the dwarfism gene, which is really unfortunate for the kiddo. I actually sponsor his older sister. She's like a preteen that fights and does Muay Thai and stuff, and she's just awesome, great personality. The whole family is a great family, and the little boy and his sister make little bracelets to kind of support and help sell them for his treatments and stuff. But he has to do, I think it's like 3 treatments a week, get shots, go to the doctor, be sick, every other day. And he'll have to continue doing that until his teenage years, at least, to continue to be okay, basically. So, really unfortunate for the family, and just trying to raise some funds for them by selling some of the UFC gear. I might be doing like a giveaway on WhatsApp after my fight to try to raise money and do some kind of auction for them instead of the human trafficking one that I usually do. I want to kind of focus on this kiddo for a bit.
That's awesome. That's definitely really awesome, and big props to you. And you mentioned something about the WhatsApp giveaway. How do you kind of get into that?
And I have a couple of people I know that do card breaking on there. And because I was involved in the UFC card breaking, I'm probably just going to reach out to them and have them kind of host the auction and me just be on there basically doing an interview while we also have stuff for sale. And my hope is I'll be able to do 50% of proceeds towards the kiddo.
That's definitely awesome. That's definitely really cool. We're looking forward to that giveaway. And on top of all your different fight gear and stuff that you typically get from the UFC, I mean, what do you usually do with it?
That's all I do is I give it away to auctions. I haven't ever kept any of it. The only thing I keep for myself is the UFC gloves. So nobody ever gets my fight gloves. That's for me and my family. I have kids one day and I want them to have some kind of memorabilia. And usually I'll keep one set of a fight walkout gear, if that makes sense. So if I get 3 black ones, I'll keep one. If I get 3 white ones, I keep one. Just so I have that as memories too.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. And with the UFC, I believe you have to give back like one piece of equipment to them. What do you usually give back to them?
I always give them my walkout shirt because for the women, it's kind of awkward. Like, are we going to take off our shorts and give them that? We only have like 2 options, like either shirt or shorts. Like, I'm not going to do that. So, or gloves. So I always keep the gloves for myself. The walkout shirt almost always goes to them because I figure my dad or husband, whichever one's cornering me, will always have one of those walkout shirts at least, even though I can't fit it. And my shorts, I'm going to leave on after my fight. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That definitely makes and you also have a PhD as well too. I mean, talk us a little bit more about school. I mean, how hard was that? And talk us more about studying and stuff.
So I actually have a master's, not a PhD. I'm going to school for my PhD, and they kicked me out because I was in MMA. So went to have my student evaluation to go on to my doctorate classes, which I already had a year of under my belt, which was probably the most frustrating part of the whole process. Was making straight A's, was a teaching assistant, everything. And they basically told me they didn't think I was prioritizing school enough and pretty much accused me of cheating. So I had a really bad experience with grad school, I guess you'd say, but ended up getting the job with Hershey. It offered to me like a day or two before I ever got kicked out. And it just ended up being like, I guess, God's blessing. It was like a push towards Hershey. I reached back out and was like, I think I will take that job if it's still available. And now I work full time for Hershey. I have a great job that would have been the exact same job if I would have had my doctorate. So it's not like that would have helped me much. And I don't plan on using my degree past that. So ended up all working out fine. Was able to move out to Denver about a year and a half earlier, and things work out as they're supposed to.
Yeah, they definitely do. And you mentioned you like to do a little bit of hiking. I mean, what's maybe some of your favorite memories when you went hiking before?
Probably St. Mary's Glacier. It's not that bad of a hike or anything, but I've had a lot of fun there in the middle of summer, going up and sliding down the snow and stuff, which is always really fun, and sitting out at the lake and diving in and all that. So St. Mary's is probably my favorite, but I go with my husband every time we go hiking, and it's just always a fun memory to add to. Sometimes we have memories where it's just us dying to finish the part because we were like, oh, we'll be able to do this in the last 2 miles. We just are struggling, but it's always a great time.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like it. And you just mentioned your husband. I mean, how'd you guys typically meet as well too?
Yeah, so we met. It's kind of an embarrassing story, but met via Tinder. It was my first time ever being on online dating. He was my first and only date from Tinder, which is kind of a cool story. It was basically a bet. My friend told me I had to go on one date. She was going to make me an online profile. And I got submitted that night. It was like a whole bet of if you don't get submitted in jiu-jitsu, I won't do it. And I got submitted. My coach walked in last second just for that purpose. They had it like all planned out, I guess. And ended up, she made me a profile. I went on there and he was my first match, first date on there. And now we're married. So I guess sometimes those things do work out.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's definitely a funny story. And with your coach submitting you, I mean, what submission did he end up hitting you with?
I can't even remember. Honestly, he submitted me like 15 times in the round just to make the point. It was like definitely purposeful. Like I was supposed to be teaching the class. Last second, he came in and submitted me like 15 times in a 7-minute round. That was like cool.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, when you did end up meeting your husband, I mean, did he end up knowing you were in the UFC or anything like that?
No, so I was actually just in Invicta when we met, and 3 days after we had our first date, I got called by the UFC.
Wow. Okay, that's incredible. That's definitely a
Yeah.
cool story.
Yeah, but
And
he didn't really know much of anything about MMA. I always thought I was gonna have to be with a guy that was in the sport, for jealousy reasons, for just understanding my lifestyle and stuff. But he lifts a lot, so he still understands kind of the athlete determination mindset. And it was incredible. Like the first time he ever watched me do jujitsu, I was doing a tap cancer out. Um, what do you call it, fundraiser, and rolled for like 3 hours straight. And he just sat there and watched. And afterwards, he was like, "That was the most awesome thing. You submitted this guy and you did this." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Like, I'm glad you appreciate it and like it." And now he does jujitsu at a very lower level. But he just got his second stripe a few weeks ago and is doing the intermediate classes of jujitsu and doing pretty well. I wouldn't say he likes it necessarily, but he's doing it.
well, I'm definitely glad you got him into it. That's definitely some pretty cool stuff. And how often do you guys typically train together? Like every day?
We don't train together hardly at all. I train like in a total different class, like a more advanced class. But as far as him going to train, it's like 2 times a week that he trains, and obviously I train every day. He goes and lifts weights almost every day, though.
Nice, nice. Now, when it comes to you lifting weights, I mean, what's maybe some of your favorite things you like to do for strength and conditioning?
Man, I don't even lift weights hardly at all. I have strength and
Really?
conditioning 2 times a week, and it's all like sports specific stuff: medicine balls, band work, TRX, like band pulls, and a lot of running and a lot of stupid Versa climber, which is my least favorite thing of all. So we do a lot of different stuff, but it's hardly ever lifting weights, at least not for strength wise. Like we'll do like low weight, high frequency stuff, but I'm one of those people that can gain weight just by eating food and looking at a weight. So it's never smart for me to just start lifting heavy.
Okay, okay, fair enough, fair enough. And getting back to the relationship and stuff. I mean, what's maybe an ideal fun date for you as well too?
Probably the hiking, or like us out on the ranch, just walking across, checking cows or something. Like we have so much fun just going out and having a peaceful day. Like I'm a very stress centered person, I guess. We have a very busy life. I always have to have something going on, and so anytime we can just kind of sit back and relax and watch a movie and have good food is nice. Which right now I'm at the part of fight where the good food isn't an option anymore, but movies still nice.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what's maybe some of your favorite movies? What do you typically like to watch?
I'm just think of me as like an 80s girl with music and movies. I feel like action and dorky, corny movies are my favorite. Like the new Top Gun I loved, the Gun I loved, which obviously, the Maverick thing, like that's part of the reason, I guess. But any of the 80s actiony movies that are just absolutely ridiculous in their fight scenes and stuff are some of my favorites.
I
And then
love it.
the ones that make me cry, which is like a terrible guilty pleasure kind of thing, I guess. I don't know.
Fair enough, fair enough. And about music, I mean, do you like to go to any sort of concerts and stuff when you have your free time?
No, I have been to one concert in my entire life. I'd like to go to another, but it was like an indoor Casting Crowns concert. And they invited me for free. They actually wrote my first walkout song to the UFC. They redid Only Jesus for me, so that was pretty cool. And then I went to their concert, but haven't been to like a real concert before. Maybe one of these days.
Nice, nice. That's definitely pretty cool. Hopefully, maybe in the future you can. And getting back to the UFC, I mean, with you getting your fight booked and stuff, I mean, what's maybe like the behind the scenes that fans doesn't know about with the comes to like the medicals, paperwork? Talk to us a little bit more about that behind the scenes stuff.
Man, the only thing I'll say, because I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say, is it's a very stressful process, especially when the fight's kind of up in the air. The matchmakers call the manager calls me, I call my coaches. It's a whole process of 5 different phone calls to even get anything facilitated. Medicals went on as planned. My manager actually helps deal with those, and UFC helps schedule them. And we have to get that all done like once a year. You do all your blood work, all your everything, which kind of sucks because sometimes you have to go get EKG. It just kind of depends on what state and everything that you're in. Vegas is fairly easy since I fought in Vegas so many times. They already have some of my old records, which is nice. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes they interrupt trainings, which kind of suck with blood testing and stuff from not USADA anymore, but from the anti-doping agency that works for them. I'm waiting for a visit any day now because it's been a few weeks.
Nice, nice. Okay, fair enough. And getting back to the USADA, I mean, did you happen to have like any like crazy stories with USADA, like showing up real early or anything like that?
I mean, they show up early every time for me. It's like amusing. I'm like, can you guys show up, I don't know, between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m.? That would be nice. I've had them wake me up at 6:30 multiple times, like between the 7 o'clock area. And it's always the days I decide to sleep in. And I'm like, great.
Yeah,
Wake
yeah.
up. I'm just like, I gotta get dressed. I'll be down there.
Yeah.
And then I did have a time where they tried to do a blood sample and they like they tried 4 times and I was like, no more. You guys are done. Like you're hurting me. And so they had to not test that time. They just ended up doing a P test again. But I was like, wow, you'd think that you'd be able to do that better.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. And when it comes to like fighters, especially girls and stuff too, like when you guys have that longer hair, I mean, does the UFC force you guys to do like the cornrows and stuff? I mean, how does that kind of work with your hair?
I don't know if they'd force you to. I've never really seen a girl opt out of it though.
Okay.
I love it. I love that they do it for us. They always have somebody provided that puts up our hair, and she does it so quick. And she's one of those people you can show her a picture of anything you want, and she makes it happen in like 30 minutes to an hour. It's crazy. So yeah, I love that they have it. I would rather that than my hair getting yanked out, which it does every single day. Yesterday, I lost so much hair. We were all joking about it. Like the whole floor was just covered in my hair because I was getting like shark tanked and get stuck in people's everything, and the Velcro in our gloves, it gets stuck in. So it's a whole mess, but I would not chop off my hair to get rid of it.
No, I definitely hear you. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And when you do get those cornrows and stuff, I mean, like, does it hurt or anything like that? I've never had that before, obviously.
Um, when I was little, I like did gymnastics and stuff, and my mom would put up my hair tight. So I was always used to having my hair really tight, and I put it really tight in buns. I know some people that have more sensitive heads that it hurts for them, and obviously, like it's really tight when they do the cornrows and the designs. But I think you just get used to it, especially when you get it done the day before and sleep with it. It's a little looser by the time you fight. But I will say, every time it gets taken out, I'm like, this is nice. Like no headache or anything.
Yeah, yeah, nice, nice. And with you doing gymnastics, I mean, like, can you do any cool like tricks like backflips or anything like that, or no?
No, I stopped that way back when I was little. Maybe I could, but I don't try to risk that anymore. Like now that I fight, I feel like I avoid anything that can hurt me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my dad actually pulled me out of gymnastics when I was 10, I think. I was finally getting to where like I was doing really well in 2 age groups above where I was, and they were gonna have me like start competing at state levels and everything. And I was starting to do like backflips with no hands on the balance beam at this point. And my dad saw a girl like she was paralyzed for life doing that and had missed and fell on the beam, and he was like, "You're done. You're not doing this anymore. It's not worth your life." And took me out. And I joke now because he took me out of one dangerous sport, and I guess I decided to join another one.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely funny that yeah, you're definitely in a dangerous sport on top of that. Now, we mentioned a little bit before too about your eye and stuff too. I mean, medicals and stuff are all okay and stuff when you're trying to get this fight with Dione too.
Yep, I have the same doctor that I make sure I go to every time, and he just checks that the retina hasn't, changed. There's no change in what it looks like in there, and as long as we're good, we're always good to go.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely awesome. That's definitely some good news. And with training and stuff too, when you guys are just doing like pure grappling and stuff, do you like to wear the gi, rash guard? I mean, what do you typically wear when you're just doing grappling days?
I just wear no gi. I just wear like a rash guard and leggings usually almost every time. I haven't worn a gi in, or at least not for training regularly, in about 3.5 years now since I moved out to Denver.
Nice, nice. Now, with you having a pretty solid grappling background, would you ever like consider? I know like Chase Hooper, Rose Namajunas, they've also done like grappling events. Would that be something maybe you'd want to do one day in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I have, and I will keep doing it. I haven't gotten as many of the, I don't know what they fight for, but they do it on like the UFC Fight Pass and stuff. I did Worlds this past year, and I actually got second place at Worlds in Nogi, and that's when I got my black belt. So I'm happy to keep competing. Anytime I don't have a fight lined up and I'm not in fight camp, I compete as actively as I can in jiu-jitsu, and I'll continue to do so.
Very nice, very nice. Now, when you're a white belt and trying to get promoted to the next belt, I mean, what do you typically have to learn and kind of do to kind of go from one belt to the next?
Man, so many things. That's a hard question. Basically, basic defense, basic offense, submissions of pretty much every sort. Like you'd be surprised how much you learn in that amount of time. And typically, it takes around 2 years just to get up to the next belt level. Like you get stripes and stuff, but to be blue belt, you need to be able to beat an average person, and even like the average athlete. Like you have a wrestler that comes in that's a level above a blue belt sometimes, and you're just like, wow, they control themselves so well, they're able to manipulate so well, but if you can't typically beat someone that's already been an athlete in another sport, like you're probably not deserving of a blue belt. However, I've competed with lots of different gyms that seem to have a different idea of what it's like to be different levels of belts. I'm happy to say that every gym I've pretty much been to has been pretty difficult as far as moving up to the next level. Me as a female, I've always had to be able to hold my own against the guys that are like my own belt, which is nice. Like it's a very skill based sport, which is why I respect and love jujitsu so much. But yeah, white belt, you gotta know how to defend yourself basically, and know all the basic moves. And to keep on moving up, you have to be able to chain moves together, recognize when someone's trying to set something up. And like obviously, as a black belt, I should be able to be 4 steps ahead of whatever that person's thinking I'm gonna do.
Yeah, yeah, very nice. And when it comes to your gym, I mean, if I was to start there as a white belt and I was training every day, I mean, how long would it maybe take to go from white belt to black belt at your gym?
Um, Around 10 years for the average person, I would guess, if you're in there training regularly.
Wow. Okay, that's definitely incredible. And when it comes to like the UFC, I've seen it a couple times where like these fighters, they'll go out there and they'll win, and most of the time they'll win by like knockout or something. They don't really get taken down. Then they get awarded their black belt. Have you seen that? What do you kind of think about that?
I haven't seen that necessarily, but a lot of times it's because they've already done the grappling experience and the coach thinks that they're up to that level enough anyway. Regardless of how they win, they were probably going to give it to them, you know? So that's exciting. My coaches have never been the type to kind of flash it about, so I've never really gotten my belt publicly. It's always been at the gym, at training. Um, but yeah, some people get it in fancy scenarios or when they win competitions, and that's cool too.
Yeah. No, it's definitely awesome. And when you get awarded your belt, I mean, what's kind of celebration like? Do you guys do anything after you guys get awarded your belts?
No, not at this gym anyway. I've had gyms where they'll like do the whole thing where you hit them with the belt afterwards. I think once you get to black belt, you're kind of past that. Nobody does anything to you anymore. They're kind of just like, you win, you won, you don't have to do anything ever. I literally just had dinner after I got my black belt and was really happy, of course, because I had also done really well at Worlds, and we did like a Facebook Live so my family could see it.
Very nice, very nice. And talking about food, I mean, what's maybe some of your favorite meals you like to eat?
I'm a sweets kind of person. I love any kind of desserts, ice cream, cookie dough. It.
I like it. No, that's definitely some good stuff. And let's say you're trying to invite somebody over and you're trying to impress them. I mean, what would maybe be your meal to kind of have with maybe friends, family, or somebody like that?
I make some pretty mean chicken pot pie and beef meatloaves, which are pretty nice too, with like sweet potato and just some veggies and stuff. Or
Right.
burgers. I can always do burgers.
I like it. I like it. And you mentioned you're close to your family and everything. I mean, how hard is it, or maybe even how stressful is it to kind of give out those tickets to friends and family and stuff, or does the UFC maybe take care of that for you?
They usually provide me with 4 tickets, and usually they go to everyone. Either my stepmom comes with my dad, and then my husband needs a ticket too, and then the others I'll give to my manager. I've never had my whole family be able to come to a UFC fight yet, because somebody always has to be back home watching the ranch, or my siblings are really busy working still. They're young and we're not a rich family by any means, so I don't have the whole big crowd supporting me at fights like I wish would happen, but maybe one of these days we'll have one.
Yeah, yeah, no, fair enough. And with you growing up on like the farm and stuff, I mean, talk to us a little bit more about like the farm life and kind of what you kind of had to do.
I mean, I grew into who I am because of the ranch. We worked really, really hard. There's an Anatomy of the Fighter video out there that shows a little bit of what we do on the ranch, but we did everything from have chickens to milk cows to beef cattle. We still have the beef cattle and chickens, and my stepmom raises German shepherds. So a lot of hard work. Everybody wakes up in the morning with the sun, goes to sleep with the sun, kind of thing. Um, Grew up with a lot of work ethic. There wasn't like a day that where you could relax and be like, oh, I'm not going to do anything. Like every day you have to go out there and check things, or else animals are going to die, and it's going to be your responsibility and your fault. So grew up with understanding and respecting lives, respecting animals. And I think it grew me into the person I am. You had to have a lot of strength on the farm. And I mean that, like physical strength, whether it's picking up rocks that I did all the time, pounding posts that I did, like from the age of 8 on. Like I always joke that I was raised like a little farmhand, like, like an adult man from about the age of 8 on. I was the, so there was a
Yeah.
lot of responsibility there until my brother got old enough to kind of take over that helm.
Yeah, no, that's definitely awesome. And you mentioned like respecting animals and everything. Do you happen to have any pets as well too at the moment?
No, we actually, so my husband and I raised the main sire of the German Shepherds. So Camino is his name. So he's our dog. He's back on the ranch now because he was needed to be a dad so many times. It wasn't worth keeping him out here. So he's our pet technically, but out here in Colorado, I know a lot of people have dogs, but I'm not much of an indoor animal person. People talk about animal abuse, and I see that almost as part of it. They like talking about animals being outside being terrible, and I'm like, that's where they belong. That's where they want space. So we do not have any animals in our house. I'm also big about cleanliness, and especially with my pickle business and stuff, like no way. That's disgusting. So I'm not gonna have cat hair or dog hair found in somebody's pickles and get sued for it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely hear it. Fair enough. I didn't even think about that. And getting back into your fight, I mean, how active do you maybe plan to be this year?
Man, I hope to have, let's see, this year I have one more fight after this at least, and then next year I'd like to have two more by July, so three within the year.
No, that's definitely awesome. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. And Miranda, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for coming back on the show. I mean, what's maybe your final message out there for the fans watching this video?
And you guys check it out. I don't have a prediction for you yet because I want you guys to all tune in and see what's going to happen. They're giving me somebody that's fought once in the UFC. I've had 10 fights now, and I'm excited to show why I'm the experienced one, why I'm ranked, and why I'm going to continue climbing the ladder. So check it out. Watch July 20th in Vegas. It's a fight night, so you don't have any excuses. You don't even have to pay for a pay-per-view.
Yeah, no, definitely. No excuses. We got to be tuning in, and I definitely will be. So, Miranda, thank you so much for coming back on the show. It means a lot to me. Definitely an awesome time talking to you, and we're looking forward to that fight with Dione Barbosa.
Thank you. And you guys keep an eye out. I will be posting a few more UFC fight gear items. So if you guys want them, keep an eye out on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. I'll be posting, and proceeds will go to that little boy's family.
Yes, yes, we definitely will. And yes, once you post it up, I'll be happy to try and put it up on my page as well too, try to help you out as much as I can. And Miranda, thank you so much for coming on once again. We're looking forward to your next fight.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.